private sector is not yet fully utilized, because not everybody can be employed by government. And we are looking at a future whereby more people are employed in the private sector than in government. So I think if we all work hard, if we all work together and invest in the right areas, there's been a lot of talk about value addition in the agriculture sector, in the mineral sector. If there is enough investment in those areas, I think it can create enough jobs for our children and grandchildren.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to take you to question number 4, Andrew, which is, let's talk about your journey at City Hall and the foray into the Executive Director's office, which is as Andrew Chitaka,
Very
and
interesting.
as well as the Director Engineering.
Very interesting. I joined KCCA on 1st November 2011. And before then, I was
for so much. CEO of whatever. They give so much.
This is the reason why you are actually on the bench.
Because of my credibility. Thank you so much. But now they attack you, they vilify you. And the goal is to weaken you financially. Is to weaken your honor. These are slanderers. So I'm glad that someone would stay up at night to ask and learn about me. And I pray that in the next 2 months, because I know many Ugandans who travel overseas, when they go there, one of the things, because the media has been so much, and Sam Kutesa, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, has really not done a good job. He has dropped the ball on this issue. Why? So many of us are being accused of being gay killers, including me. You've just heard that person. Uganda is being accused that we kill gays, which actually is absolutely untrue. And because of this, it has affected our tourism. It affects people who go overseas to do work or study. It affects whenever you go to a conference. Hi, my name is Eddie Okiela. Where are you from? I'm from Uganda. Oh, you are the gay killers. And then you begin to describe. See, so one of the things that I've done is I've written a book, which should be coming out. I know that I keep saying the same thing, but the work of doing a book takes a long time, and I wish I could be supported. You know, many people who write on this subject, like Sylvia Tamale, she's supported by the Rockefeller Foundation, Carnegie Foundation. There is money.
Is a very big brand, and as we go on, we will probably discuss the things we're trying to do to see that things change for the better. Good. Sean, on the CEO bench, for everyone who is following, we're live on our YouTube studio where we actually stream from. So YouTube studio, for everybody asking for a link, is actually House of Talent UK.
Confident in themselves and what they are offering. I think that's the biggest problem. Like, women will easily settle for a less pay than men would. Mona Onyeto Deke goes on to say, I think this is a comment, says, I didn't know that beauty products are taxed at 60%. Whoa. They are. I pray that changes soon, but they are. So with that challenge of 60%,
setting up the company, you're doing tours all across the world. You know, a personal account is great, but how these things are taxed becomes important for your business later on. As soon as you cross that threshold of 50 million a year, you know, you're now in
the interest become more shares.
It is a CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okela, and my guest this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening, depending on which part of the world you are actually catching the CEO Bench from, is Irene Esther Mutuzo, a young girl springing out from the suburb of Kampala, Uganda, the capital city of Uganda. And of course, going around the world and doing many things across the world. She's a lady on a rise, the young lady on a rise to the top. And with about 25 nominations to come to the CEO Bench, we of course have Irene this afternoon or this morning or this evening on the CEO Bench. Irene, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and it's such a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome.
Yes.
And we just want to know, who is Irene Mutuzo in a nutshell? Are you Ugandan? If yes, where do you come from? What are the values that define you as a person?
Okay. So Mutuzo Irene Esther is a Ugandan. Yeah. I come from Kisoro. I was born in Kampala, particularly Mulago Hospital. I am a firstborn of two very great parents, my dad and my late mom. We are 4 in our family, that is me and my siblings. I love people. I love to speak. I love to write. In my work, I work as the head of business growth and PR at Liwala, which I'll be talking more about. Yeah. I also love to write poetry and perform poetry. The values that define me, well, I'm a Christian, and I believe that our lives are sort of like a masterpiece that God has built, and we are here to serve. So for me, it's more on godly principles, things like humility, things like forgiveness, things like listening to others, treating others well. So those are the different values that define who I am. And hard work and learning, continuous learning, being humble to always know that I don't know it all. So I need to learn.
Wow.
And there's always something to learn from someone. Whatever category they are at, whatever class they are at, there's always something to learn from everyone.
Wow. Well, welcome to the show. This is Irene Mutuzo, who is our guest this morning on the CEO Bench, or this afternoon, this evening, depending on which part of the world you're watching the show. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone all across the world, all our brothers and sisters in the US, those who are staying up late to catch the CEO Bench. And of course, Dennis is in Australia, and of course, Professor Penny Nachayo, the Assistant Professor for Design Communication, Washington University. Welcome to the program. I hope we'll be able to put everyone to sleep. And Irene, what a moment in a journey that we're going to have this morning. I want to just take you straight to the story of Irene Mutuzo. Growing up, did you ever see yourself being where you are today?
Honestly, no. and I'll tell you, and I like to share this story because, you know, it defines me. So growing up, I actually used to struggle with stammering. And even to date, on the days I'm not mentally prepared, you'll notice that I will stutter a lot, or I will have a lot of long pauses in between my sentences, because those have become my coping mechanisms. And I remember in my S1 at Navisunsa Girls School, I'd actually, you know, going in, I'd got into the debating club, and then I realized that I loved to speak. I could actually speak if I put my mind to it. And I actually made an impression, and I was given an opportunity to read the news on a Monday assembly.
At school?
At school. Well, I practiced, and I went to read the news. I get to the podium, and I don't know what happened, but I froze. I literally froze and kept stammering and stuttering, and for lack of a better word, it was a disaster. And I walked away from that podium, vowing never to speak in public, lest I embarrass myself. But I remember, and a couple of weeks later, I kept shying away from public speaking opportunities until I told myself, you know what, I can let this define me, or I can rise up from it. So I kept, you know, I went back to debating. I went back to learning how to speak. I got into speech competitions. Did I win them? Not really, but I kept getting better at it. And even today, I'm getting better at it. And I always share that story because now in my adult life, I literally speak every day for a living.
Wow.
And even in my previous roles, I've been in marketing, I've been in PR, I've been in communication. I never ever thought that's the path I would take.
Yeah.
But you know, things happened. I always thought I would probably be an engineer or a doctor. Yeah. Then somewhere in my S6, then that's when I realized, okay, I love to speak, so I thought I would be a lawyer. Yeah. Then I realized that I want to understand people, and I love to understand people. Yeah. So I get into psychology, and then I realized that there's a lot more about people to learn from and to share and communicate. Yeah.
Wow. Irene, let me take you back a little bit. For all our guests and rather viewers viewing the show from all across, you know the world, and people who do not know you very well. As a young girl growing up in Uganda, you earlier
Kisoro.
Kisoro.
Yes.
So
I'm a Mufumbira.
Yeah. So if I'm watching this show and I want to know what happened in Kisoro, and this girl I'm seeing now, all nice, beautiful, put together, but I don't know where this Kisoro is, which part of the Uganda is this place from. Take us a little bit back about your journey from childhood and the ancestry of Mutuzo.
Okay. So I won't lie. It's not that I grew up in Kisoro. Yes, yes. No, that's you could say that's where my village is. My village is actually on the border of Rwanda and Uganda. Yeah. So that's where my village is. But I grew up in I could say my parents had very humble beginnings, and as a firstborn, I saw that. So we went from a one-room apartment in Kasubi. It wasn't even called an apartment, but I'm just saying the word apartment. So I saw my parents really work hard and go to where they are, and that also sort of had an impact on me. And for me, when I was in school, I just always wanted to do more. So I was one of those kids that was everywhere, just trying to do more. Even when I wasn't good at some things, I just wanted to learn and do more. Yes. And particularly, I could say my work life began when I was about 14 years. I was chosen to be part of a group to begin a pull-out, then called Teens, at New Vision. Okay. Now that pull-out
Teens magazine, the publication, the New Vision, the publication that comes out of it.
Yes. Okay. Now it's called Swag, but then when we were starting it out, it was Teens. Yeah. So that's how I began my work journey. So at first it was, something you do, you like. I would keep sending in articles, I would keep writing. Then in my S4, I had some time on my hands, so I went in, and I was also helping out with the editorial work. And then I grew in my writing, I grew in my communication. Then, particularly in my S5, S6, then I was the president of the debating club of Navi Sensa Girls School. And we had, this dream to have the biggest debate ever. And we kept trying to look at, which person we would invite as the guest of honor. Yeah. And one of the people that came to our minds was Mr. Robert Kabushenga. Yeah. But because, he was quite popular that
time. Then he was the CEO.
Yes, then he was the CEO. And he was quite popular. Yeah. And, one of those people that is very difficult to get. Yeah. We were quite scared on whether he would even come. So we even had a plan B. Yes. Now, because I had been at New Vision writing, my friends thought, oh, now, Irene,
you are here?
You are here, you can get this done. So, so I was put on a mission to get Mr. Kabushenga to come and be our guest of honor. And I remember taking that letter with our patron. Yeah. I thank God he wasn't there, because I was so nervous. And but he responded to the letter, and he came. And when he came, indeed the debate was really big. It had all this coverage. And he was so impressed with the organization, and he told us, the cabinet can come and work at New Vision, like voluntary work.
This is the debating cabinet of the Navi Sensa Girls School
in my year. So we ended up having could say VAC job. And when VAC came, my friends were like, okay, Irene, Mr. Kabushenga promised. So So being bold, yes, we did go and ask him, and he was very open, and he made sure we got those opportunities. And I remember him telling us that if you work hard, you'll actually get full-time jobs. So we worked hard, and we ended up getting full-time jobs. So I was at New Vision for about 4 years, and throughout my campus life, I was actually working at New Vision. Then in my 3rd year, now when we had to do the usual internship, I also got an opportunity to intern at the United Bank for Africa. It was meant to be for 3 months, but I'm humbled that they liked the work I was doing, so they kept me on for some more months. And that particular year was tough, very, very tough.
Why do you qualify it as very tough year?
I was juggling school as a finalist, and you can imagine I had exams, I had a thesis. I was still at New Vision because I felt it wasn't yet my time to leave. I still wanted to learn, and then I also had the internship. So my day looked like 8 to 4, I'm at the bank. After 4, I ran to New Vision. Then I was doing evening classes, so at about 7, 8, I'd then take a bike to class.
Wow.
And that was my day. That was.
So which campus was this?
It was at Makerere. Yes,
All right.
Yeah, but I'm glad that I went through that season. It taught me resilience. It taught me the ability to juggle a lot of things. I learned so many skills. So many skills that I would later use in my year. I'm glad that I didn't fail at any of the things. I actually passed, and even in school I was on top of my class. So it just pushed me to work hard because I knew I didn't have time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Irene, I mean, hearing your story, you sound so mature at that age. You sound so very organized at that age. And we often don't find people within that age bracket that would be very organized and very sound to be a little bit more astute in what they want, looking at what they want. How old were you, and where would you place your ability to be that organized, to be that very, what I would say, upright in the mind, that you know what you want to do, you know how to get it, and you're stuck to that point of saying, I will do it. How old were you, and what was your driving factor, to say the least?
Well, I could say I was about 19 to 24, 23, 23.
Yes.
And no, I wasn't organized.
Why do you say you were not organized?
I was just trying to figure out life, and I thank God that all these opportunities came to me, and I grabbed them as like, sometimes opportunity comes to us once.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer in nothing happens to you
by accident.
Yeah. And God has a reason why that thing is happening to you. God has a reason why He's putting you in that space.
Yes.
God has a reason why He's putting certain people in your life.
Yes.
So for me, it's not by accident.
Yes.
And I can tell you, no, I wasn't organized. Yes. I was someone learning, and you can imagine someone learning on the job.
Yeah.
And even later, after now graduating, I now started working at Brighter Monday. Then after Brighter Monday, I began working at Green Hill Schools, where I got my first, I could say, opportunity as a young manager. And even in that role, I learned, my God, it just stretched me, and I learned and I grew. Because, as a manager and as a leader, of course, when you're older, there are certain things you have seen over the years. But we young managers, at times we need to learn things by doing. And we also need to learn by asking questions from people who have been there. So particularly that opportunity to manage people, some people who are much older than I am, the opportunity to begin a department, the PR department, right from scratch, was really, really humbling. Because I learned, and I always say, I don't know what the people at Green Hill saw in me. Because as young, as literally 25 years. But, they took a chance on me, and I'm forever grateful. Because, my God, I learned, and I created so many relationships there. One of my mentors is my previous supervisor, Mrs. Joy Irene Kamaraka, and oh gosh, I learned from her. Yeah. I learned about criticism. You know, we as human beings, we do not want to be criticized, yes, but we need to be criticized. Yeah. And even in my role and my work at Diwala, yes, we have a very open culture, yeah, whereby, you know, we want to grow each other, we want to help each other. Yeah. So when there's something that is going great, we'll say it. When something is not going great, we'll tell each other, you know, that, you know, we need to improve. And that's the culture we need to have to be able to grow. Because if you do not have people that are telling you what yes, you can have a lot of people telling you what you're doing right, yeah, but they're not telling you where you're going wrong, you're not going to learn. Yeah. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we are talking to Irene Mutuzo on the CEO bench this morning, and of course, or this afternoon, this evening, depending on which part of the world you are actually catching this program from. The CEO bench will take a break, and when we come back, we will continue with the interview with Irene Esther Mutuzo, who is the head of business development and PR at Diwala, actually, Diwala, the company that we're going to get to know more about what it does and how they do their stuff. She got 25 nominations from you. So if you're one of the people who nominated her, we would like to hear your kisses and disses coming in. Please send in your comments, your kisses and disses. And of course, this interview is streaming live on our page. So go in there and share it far and wide with everyone so that you never know which part.
People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
The private sector is not yet fully utilized because not everybody can be employed by government. And we are looking at a future whereby more people are employed in the private sector than in government. So I think if we all work hard, if we all work together and invest in the right areas, there's been a lot of talk.
Andrew Chitaka,
very
and
interesting.
as well as the director engineering.
Very interesting. I joined KCCA on 1st November 2011. And before then I was
It is a CEO Bench, and of course, welcome back from that break. And Irene, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Before we went for a break, you were telling us a little bit more about your life, and we're trying to get to understand who is Irene Mutuzo and the work you do. I want to take you straight to, you know, the core part of this interview, the CEO Bench, where you are actually in right now, or at the moment. The program focuses on leadership, change management, and transformation. You've spoken very profoundly about your life, where you come from, and what you're doing. But we want to focus more on leadership, starting with, what is your understanding of leadership, Irene?
Okay. My understanding of leadership is service.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not about yourself. It's not about being the most intelligent person in the room. It's not about the money. It's about serving.
Okay.
And leadership, to be a leader, you don't have to lead a team. You can be a leader in your home. For friends, you can be your own leader as well. For example, today when I got up in the morning, I had to make decisions about how I look, how I move, and that is leadership as well. Yeah.
Okay. And what is your understanding of self-leadership?
Self-leadership, to me, is first of all understanding who you are.
Yeah.
You know, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? How do you keep getting better at your strengths, and how do you keep working on your weaknesses? Yeah. If you have that understanding of yourself, it even becomes easier to serve other people. Like I say, leadership is serving at the end of the day. Yeah. It's making impact in people's lives and making impact in community. Self-leadership is also, to me, it's also being proactive. You know, you are the master of your life.
Yeah.
You choose where you want to go and where you do not want to go. When you are faced with decisions, you choose what to do. If today you're given 2 jobs or 3 jobs or 4 jobs, the decision comes to you. Yes, you'll have a lot of opinions, you'll get a lot of advice, but the decision still comes from you. So it's very important to be aware of who you are, be aware of the people you serve, be aware of those people that you listen to. You know, I call them my village. Yeah. Your family, your friends, your mentors, to be able to guide you in decision making. Because at the end of the day, also leadership is a lot about decision making. And that's why, you know, you've used the term self-leadership, because very many times we have to make decisions as human beings, as individuals.
Wow. Irene, on that note, have you been a leader?
Yes, I have. in many, I could say, capacities. Yes.
How did you know that you were a leader? At what point did you realize that I'm actually now a leader, I'm leading self, and I can lead people?
I think I got to know that at a very young age. Yeah. At a very young age, and even people around me would notice it. Yeah. So I'm always those people that like to get things going. And I'm those people. Yes. So usually I stand out as that person. So if we have said that we are going to have a meeting, that meeting will happen. I don't believe in saying something and then not doing it, you know. And sadly to say, we have a lot of people like that, you know, being a great talker and not doing anything about it.
Yes.
If you shouldn't do something about something, it's okay because it happens, but explain why.
Okay.
Yeah. If you say that you're going to call back someone and you do not call back, you know, apologize to them and explain why. Probably you forgot, and it's okay because we have a lot of things on our plate. It's okay. If you say that you'll give someone feedback, you know, in our society, we do not want to give negative feedback. For example, if someone has come to you with a proposal and you do not like it, or you think, you know, this is not for me, we'll just keep quiet. So we'll just leave someone in limbo and not give feedback. So for me, those are very important aspects of leadership. And I think those are the aspects I bring to table as a leader. And ever since I was young, people noticed that about me. So right from my primary school, I was a leader. I was a head girl in primary school. At high school, I was the president debate club. Then, you know, then I went to now the work world where I had gathered a few skills enough to apply for some leadership positions, which I got. So I think it was really, really early in my age. And also, I think it comes naturally because I'm a firstborn. I'm a firstborn of 4, and naturally you're a leader. So I babysat all my siblings, all of them. So when they are, you know, I raised you. And particularly this year also, you know, being a leader on the family front, I've been challenged. I lost my mom last year.
Sorry about that.
And I have had to step up.
Wow.
I've had to step up for my siblings. I've had to step up for my dad, for my aunts, for my uncles, for my grand.
Irene, I mean, as we wind up the leadership perspective of the, you know, the questions and the leadership perspective. One, there are 5 different or 4 different types of leadership approaches that, you know, are available in the world for us to always use. There's what we called autocratic leadership approach, okay, an autocratic leader. And there's what we called a transformative leadership person. And then there's what we call a democratic leadership person or approach. And then there's what we call laissez-faire leadership approach, and or a leader who is a laissez-faire. And then there's what we called servant leadership. Which of these do you practice most and why?
I could say actually it's none of the above. I think I'm more a situational leader. I'm more a situational leader because I believe that we are not robots. We are human beings at the end of the day. And even with the people...
It's about managing change. We've talked about leadership, but in your journey as a person, you've been moving quite a bit. You've moved from Nabisunsa, from Kisoro to Kampala, from Kampala to, you know, Nabisunsa, from Nabisunsa you've now moved, you are now in Norway, you're about to go to Netherlands, you're going in different places. So how are you able to manage this change from one place to the next place? What do you say when you are leaving? And at what point do you now know it's time for me to move?
Okay. First of all, a disclaimer, I'm here